Yes, we are on. Tory, you have a mic now. I
Yeah.
want you. I want you to. By the way, before we get to the mic, and I know our colleagues are like, "Why doesn't it have a cord?" Colleagues, you should be able to answer that yourselves. I'm not going to walk you through life. You know why it doesn't have a cord?
I don't
Because
have.
Tory goes, "I have a mic," and I'm like, "Great."
I don't have
And
a cord.
it's the way like you give a little kid a steering wheel, and you're like, "You're driving the car."
I'm so sorry, but I'll just talk loudly. I will have a mic for next time.
So
And
is the
it will.
mic right now just for symbolism? The placeholder. Okay.
Okay, first off, happy birthday, Al.
Thank you.
How
For
old did you
my
turn? Like 70?
I what? I turned 48, which yeah, that's the official that's when you can no longer lie to yourself. Like I'm in my mid 40s. It's just like I honestly I looked at it and I was just like, I feel really lucky to 48 years on this planet. I'm a happy man. My birthday was awesome. Had a great time with my girl. My son texted me, my other son called me, my daughter called me. So it was a great birthday. And plus I knew I had this show to look forward to. So yes,
Yay!
yes. Thank you, Eileen, for the happy birthday. Love. Now, Tori, you have to explain like where is the cord to that mic, and I can't let it go. It's bothering me.
But I do think it's cool when podcasters like hold it, like they couldn't care. They're like, whatever. But I don't have a cord.
Is that your impression of a laid back Gen Alpha podcaster? Yeah. Yeah, it's not great for audio, but I dig it. And thank you,
Yes.
colleagues, for all the birthday love. Yes, this is a big deal. Tori, I did want to talk to you really quickly about something that happened, and it just made me laugh because instead of getting upset as I turned 48, I was like, I'm gonna make everything a positive.
Oh.
And it's weird because this starts out with a story about incompetence, but it just made me so happy. I wondered if it seems like it's worth it to you. So I'll explain. I have a
Okay.
friend of mine that works for the Broncos Stadium here in Denver, and
Okay.
they've been working with a colleague for 8 years. And today they called me because this colleague asked them, where is section A in the state? These are all they do is work with the seating. And the guy
Hey.
said it's where the home team comes running out. It's like 8 years. And he had to call me at 10 o'clock in the morning and was like, I just need to tell this to someone. A guy that I've worked with for a decade at the stadium, inside of it.
Maybe that's his one section. He has no concept of like where A starts, but he knows the rest.
Because usually section A is going to be like the section you want to focus on. But this guy's like, how do you keep track? So
Nope.
I just, for as much as it could be looked at as like, wow, we are all surrounded by incompetence. The person that called me with that, I know is really good at their job. And I figure maybe that's what life is. It's just about balance,
Yeah, everybody out there right now in the chat, you definitely have a coworker that does not know what they're doing that works next to you. Everybody.
Yes.
Everybody has that. So please let us know the name of that person in the chat.
Yes, absolutely. There were stunning examples. And that's probably the thing that, in a weird way, what you'll take from work when you retire or leave after however many years, it's not going to be the petty arguments. It's not even going to be the pay raises. It's going to be you talking to somebody else that you used to work with and being like, remember when that guy didn't know where section A was? Like it just made my day. So I wanted to hit you with that. So Tori, why don't we just get started with being so over it? So let's get started.
Let's do it. Is there an interstitial or no?
There it just starts. So Tori, let's go.
Okay. So Marcy says the company I used to work for will be closing all of its stores. I think that's a lot of places. I'm so sorry, Marcy.
Marcy, isn't that so weird that all these places are closing? Did I tell you really quickly, Tori, that I went into a party city, and party cities are Lucy, thank you for the love. Party City famously had that weird liaison from the COO come in and fire everybody on Zoom, but she had clearly been on ayahuasca or something. Like, hey guys, we're closing all the stores, but what you need to do is channel your chi inside. And you could tell all the comments are like, is this for real? And she's like,
Oh
yeah,
man.
we're closing. And so I went inside of a Party City because the shoes that I sell, I buy that paper wrapping. I'm good with what's the tissue paper? Come on now.
Wow.
And I just heard this woman go, they were these two women just talking in front of me. And they were just like, we can't believe the store is closing. They just did renovations on it. We do great business here. And it just seems like all these great places. Yes, Rite Aids are closing. I'm not even joking. Hooters are closing. Like all these, like
closing, never good. By the way, everyone says Rite Aid has great ice cream.
Yes.
I didn't know this. Is that a thing? Everyone in the chat, let me know. I did not know this.
Do you remember we did a story on DBL? I think when Kim Kardashian was with Pete Davidson, they went into a Rite Aid and got some ice cream.
Yeah,
it's like it's a very thing. So, Tory, what are you so over?
Okay, I am so over, and this is for the women and men, I guess. I like to wear strapless bras a lot in the summer, and I gotta be honest, there's not one good one. And when I say that, I'm kind of busty and I need like a lot, and I have to be like it's like make it magnetic. Just make it a magnet. Don't make the hooks. I'm so frustrated with strapless bras. Don't make me a fishing master. I don't want to hook and lure and bait and reel my boobs in. I just want a magnet. Just a magnet.
Why do you think no one's thought of that?
I don't know.
Is it bad to have a magnet that close to your body all day? I feel like
maybe
it's like having a mini X-ray on you at all times.
Yeah, and maybe your jewelry would get like kind of stuck, but like I am over the strapless bra. Are they strong enough? Thanks, Michael Dean. I know what you mean. No, but I'm just over strapless bras, and I hope someone can recommend a good one in the chat because I don't know what to do. I'm over it. So Al, what are you over?
This is a very strange thing because it's a behavior. Part of having ADHD is a real part of that diagnosis is that you procrastinate.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that I procrastinate is what I do, and I feel like I'm admitting this, is I go on Google and I take like a random subject and then I just read the first 4 most asked questions.
Oh.
Because they are hilarious. Like, for example, Tory, I did it because I knew I was going to confess this to you and the colleagues today. I looked up University of Michigan.
Go blue!
Because I didn't want to look up anything that's like going to be lean towards like a funny question. So what do you think the number one question, this is on Google, that an average American would ask in terms of like just anything about the school? What would they ask, Tory?
How about how big is the big house? If you guys don't know, the big house is our stadium.
Yes, that's incorrect. The first question, is there street parking? This is what I do all day.
That's so sad.
The second one, are there museums on campus?
There are. They're really good ones.
Is the campus easy to walk around?
It is. It's really easy.
And finally, is the staff friendly?
The staff? Like
yes.
Everyone?
Yes, like this is a Head Start program.
Seems like it.
I did want to say this, just because I make fun of the University of Michigan all the time. I did want to say I was impressed with this. What GPA do you think the average student has to get into the University of Michigan?
So my school was hippy dippy and we didn't have GDPs? No, GPAs.
No,
GPAs.
that's you didn't have a GDP either.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But I think it's probably like 3.5, 3.6.
3.9. That's impressive with an 8% acceptance rate. Wow. I will just say that I'm so over myself and procrastinating. I think that at least me being aware of it is gonna like it helps a little bit. But
Totally.
I procrastinate I get a lot done, but I'm always like, what could I get done if I didn't BS for 22% of my day? So, Tory, I want to tell the colleagues and you what we have coming up today. We got lots to discuss. The first thing that we're definitely going to discuss Queen Bee almost in an accident in her hometown of Houston. We will tell you about that. Can you imagine if something happened to the Queen? We will also be discussing as the 4th approaches, are Americans losing pride? There was a survey taken, and the results may surprise ye. We will also, unfortunately, have to discuss yet another senseless shooting, firefighters in Idaho. Tory, I'm hoping you can make heads or tails of this because when I saw the story, I was like, what? Why? And finally, we're gonna talk about some good news. Good news coming to my hometown. That's right, Cleveland, Ohio.
Cavs.
The WNBA is going to be expanding to 3 cities. One of them is my hometown of Cleveland. We'll tell you the 2 others coming up. So with that, Tory, we have a little exciting announcement. What do we have today before we get to the stories?
Do we have a sponsor? Is this the sponsor?
Yes. That's right, colleagues. We have our first sponsor, and I'm going to ask you guys right off the bat because you guys have always been so cool. Please shout out our sponsors, even if you don't really use them. Go on Google, give them 5 stars, and help boost their ratings because it all helps. But if you do need to move anywhere in the Denver area, like I did, this is a personal account. Go to Spider Moving, talk to Vlad and the boys. I met 2 guys. They showed up. Both their names were Vlad. They were both in incredible shape. Like because I'm 48, I'm like, I look pretty good for 48. What you want to do? And then you see like a 23-year-old and you're like, okay, that's the 2025 model.
Upgraded.
That one comes with side airbags and Bose speakers. Yes, these dudes come and they are friendly, but they are no nonsense. They get your stuff moved in and out, and there we go. The Spider people, they got me moved quickly because they work with Dude IDK Studios, who we are a subsidiary of. And Nick was like, he knew I was in a pinch. He was like, call Spider. Tory, I called Spider, and they came through for me. So you just had to move, Tory.
Yeah, and also Spider has a cute little cowboy hat. That's Spider, so that's why you should. That's very cute.
I think that's enough. I didn't notice this that the Spider had a cowboy hat. I think it's more of a fedora. But I think we'll go back and forth, and it's a little bit Panama Jack. But yes, to my Spider people, we appreciate you. Do me a favor, call them now at 720-545-3187. 720-545-3187. And Tory, I may have hooked up a little thing where me and you were going to help Spider with the move. So
nice.
Yeah, I'm sure you're very excited. Wait. You're like, moving, cool. It's going to be fun. We get it. We're going to get in shape like Vlad and those boys. So shout out to Spider Moving. We appreciate you guys, and we appreciate you keeping the show going. So Tory, let's kick things off.
Let's do it.
Queen Bee and a little bit of a 911 sitch.
Yes. So if you guys didn't know, do we have the video, Michael Dean, or no? We might have the video.
Maybe? I think he said we did have it.
Okay. In the meantime, Beyoncé was in.
Oh my gosh, y'all witnessing. Make sure y'all screenshot it so y'all can send me the video later. Beyonce's coming in the crowd, y'all. Oh my gosh, her car broke. Girl, she don't got no warranty.
Julie's down there. Julie. Not great. So if you don't know, the Cowboy Carter tour is in Houston, her hometown, and her famous act of her flying in the red car with the American flag, super Americana, it tilted. It tilted like Kanye's tilted stage, and she had to stop the show, and she had to fix it, and kind of embarrassing for your hometown. Not a great feeling because you want that show to be perfect, I assume. but safety first, and Queen Bey is okay.
Yes. Tori, this story hit extra hard for me this weekend because I watched the Netflix train wreck about the Astroworld tragedy with Travis Scott. I remember we talked about that for it seemed like about 3 or 4 months on DBL, and it needed to be discussed. It was one of the saddest stories of our time just because it was right after the lockdowns had lifted. And again, it took place in Houston. And I'll just say this, seeing what I saw in that documentary, and weirdly, it made me think about, do you remember when Spider-Man was on Broadway and people were getting hurt a lot?
Yeah, Julie Taylor was the production design director, and people were getting stitches and broken legs, and people were falling all over the place.
Right. It's I hope people know the lengths that other folks go for their entertainment.
Yeah.
For as much as everybody's over everything, and it was okay, and it was fine. When you see a fireworks display, there was a drone show at a Broncos game last year. It was fantastic. But there was also a drone show in which one fell out of the sky and injured a little boy, which I think we talked about. These things that we go see, these incredible spectacles with human beings flying across the sky, like, I hope that we understand that I'm sure those entertainers understand that there's a built-in risk, but I just don't know if we give those people enough credit, because when it goes great, you just say, oh, it's a good show. But like, I really do. And I've seen lots of shows, being an entertainer, waiting to go on, watching those people on cruise ships, juggling knives on a cruise ship that was moving. These feats that people go through, sometimes they do not go well. And I'm wondering, Tori, do you think there should ever be a cap on what we should allow people to do? Because what if that car falls?
No, I think it's part of the performance, but I do think it sucks for Beyonce's a known perfectionist. And I watched the Homecoming, and she must have been all I thought about was like how frustrated she must have been. It stops the pacing, it stops the momentum, it stops everything. So it kind of just like stopped everything in its track. So I just know she must have been mad that it was in Houston and it didn't go smoothly because all of her friends, family, all that. So I was just thinking someone might have been.
Maybe. I mean, if you think about how many live shows we did at DBL, how many technical mishaps did we really have?
Not that many. But we weren't flying in cars, so that was better.
This is true. I mean, I pitched that idea, Bert shot it down, but whatever. Yeah, right. Michael Dean is asking us, has there ever been a mishap at a show? Early in my career at the Miami Improv, they used to have real candles on the table. Now they're electronic. Ooh. And I guess this one was laughing, and she kind of like put her head down laughing, and her hair went in the candle and it lit for a second. I mean, it wasn't like a flaming, but just the smell of burnt hair.
Yeah.
There is nothing like, I mean, it almost ruined the show.
Well, yeah, because that's all anyone's thinking. I was in a theater production in Florida doing off-Broadway after college, University of Michigan. And the candle, we were doing a prayer and the candle fell. And we were like in a freeze, Al, where I was like, you know what I mean? And the candle fell and started a small fire. And the audience was like, fire, 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 fire. But I was like, do I move? And someone came and was like, we're stopping the show. And I was like, and we just stayed in this position, and they put the fire out, and then they were like, go. And then I was like, but Lori.
That's what you call a true professional. All right, Tori, let's move on. July the 4th coming up. Are you excited? Talk to me. Where does the 4th fall in terms of your list of holiday?
Huge.
Yes, I could see that.
Huge. Hot dogs, check. Hamburgers, check. Fireworks, total check. Although I do get concerned for the bees and the dogs and the veterans. So that scares me. But everybody being like slightly tipsy and it's summer and the weather's good and I'm wearing like a cute outfit. Like, I'm all for July 4th. Huge fan of July 4th. Also, our independence from England. Way to go, America, huh?
All right. There we go. All we need to do
bees.
is
It scares bees, I think. Michael Dean is asking bees, but I think something with the firework disrupts their beeness.
I just sometimes when I see you start to really overextend when you're really over your skis, I'm just like, let her go. Let her go right on into the lodge with
The bees.
the Venus. Yes, I do like the fourth. But it is supposed to symbolize not only just our independence and that factory, but also like your pride in being an American and being from here, this relatively young country. So there was a recent poll that in do you have the exact numbers in front of you in terms of
I sure
where
do.
Americans are? Talk to us.
I sure do. So, people are asking about people feeling national pride, and each generation they say is a little bit less patriotic than the prior generation. And it turns out that Gen Z is super low. So definitely much lower than anybody else. Jeffrey Jones said this, a senior editor at Gallup, which is the research poll. But there had been a slow decline and an erosion in American pride since 2001, 9/11, which had it go up. Remember, everyone was waving the flags.
Right.
So apparently 58% of adults, 58% of adults say that in a downward shift that's driven almost entirely by Democrats and independents. So about 58% of adults in those two arenas have declined. Republicans, however, have continued to say they're proud to be an American. So it's interesting that the party lines actually fall. But when I see an American flag now, I expect that they're Republican, and I expect that they have a thin blue line or like a thin red line sticker. And I don't assume that we would always get along with every policy and thought, which is super bizarre because an American flag should be somewhat neutral, right? It should be just like, I love the country. But to me, it started to once, and I hate to bring it up, but once Trump came in, that American flag symbolized a different thing to me. And I wondered if you understood what I mean by that.
Absolutely. And I mean, you look at what Kristen, who said they just caught the first live show. So welcome. You are an official colleague, Kristen. I'm glad you were able to finally catch us live. Kristen says, my girlfriend wanted to put an American flag outside, but she says that she's embarrassed to fly that right now.
It's a weird feeling, Al, because you want to believe in your country and you want to have nationalistic pride, but you also maybe aren't proud of what's going on. And it also symbolizes something else when America's like America first. Like that seems a little weird to me too. So the flag, I agree with Kristen, has started to take on a different meaning, which is very strange. And Julia's saying here, Al, that MAGA claimed ownership of the flag and being a patriot. And I know Pete Buttigieg has said the Republicans can't claim God, they can't claim religion, and they can't claim patriotism. But it does seem to feel that way a little bit. What do you think?
It's, let's deal with the flag first, because your feelings, I believe, are correct. When you think about what the American flag symbolizes, I remember being a little kid and I just thought we had the coolest flag. I just loved drawing it. If I always look at it like this, if you and I walked into a bar and there were 5 American flags on each wall, would you notice that?
Yeah.
And you would notice that because it's there for a reason.
Yeah.
And it's not there to remind you what country you're in. It's there for something else. And if we're going to have a real conversation, we need to start that conversation where it starts. And weirdly, it's gone from this like land of the free to land of, if you have a problem with it, shut up and get out. And that, sadly, I don't think that's the land that I think that there's this view of Democrats that we hate America. First of all, it's weird because I don't even know if I would describe myself as a Democrat because they're such an embarrassing party. But anybody that has any type of dissent is, what's up, Tron? Anybody that has any type of dissent is looked at as a traitor. And the first thing is, if you don't like it, you can get out. And it's like, since when has that ever helped with any kind of disagreement?
And as Shelley just wrote, she's Native American. We're all immigrants. Like, get out, you get out. Like we're all coming in from other places. It's unless you're Native American, you are not from here. Like,
right.
It just seems a little bizarre about that. Yeah.
Well, it's also, it speaks to just like kind of the nature of how immigrants that immigrate here and then set up life. I remember I was talking to my buddy John. He's a Cuban Mexican cat, one of my best friends. He lives in Miami, and he really helps talk to me about, just because I think a lot of people go, well, why would Hispanics? And it's like, he's like, you need to first of all understand there are a lot of different perspectives from, and he broke it down to even like in boxing. If you're watching a boxing match between like a Puerto Rican boxer and a Mexican boxer, even if he doesn't know either one, he's going to cheer for the boxer from the island, because Cuba, it's like these little things that you
island pride. Yeah, right.
It's all these little things. And what he was saying, what I thought I'd never really thought about is, you would think that, oh, my family immigrated here and I want to help other people from my country or other countries immigrate here. But he said it's very much once people get here, people are like, nah, you figure it out, buddy. And I think that would explain a lot of the voting that we saw in terms of, with the Latino vote. A lot of people were like, yeah, let's get, they were told that criminals were going to be sent away from this country. Obviously, that ended up not happening. But even for that mentality to take hold, it's not this blanket kind of thinking that anybody has, whether your family's been here for generations, whether you were brought here as enslaved people like my family was, or, everybody got here in a different way.
Yeah.
But it seems like there's a majority of us that don't quite feel like this is home. And I wonder if that's on purpose.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I also want to let people know from what Amy said, Al, just to finish this up, that I've read this too, Amy Higgins, saying a lot of cities are actually canceling their 4th. They're very scared that ICE will be there and coming to pick people up, which is like so hatefully ironic that on the day of independence, they're coming to get you. It just drives me wild. Today, they were at a Home Depot in LA and there was some mourning, but yeah, it's a scary time right now for a lot of Americans and a lot of people in America. So it's an odd time to be celebrating. And I just want to get to Lee said, I used to put up the flag, but couldn't in a liberal neighborhood. They thought I was Republican. It's gotten bad. And I just think symbolism in America switches, I think it changes. And that American flag on 9/11 is a different American flag than it is today. And it's intimidating to some now. So I just want to say, I do love my country. It's just that I am thoughtful and considerate of what that might mean to others that don't feel welcome. So I think
critiquing something that you love shows that you love it. If you don't care, why would you bother to critique it? If I found out that, you told me, 6 months into the show, oh, Al, your mic's been off the whole time. Like, I would be like, oh, you didn't care enough to tell me that.
Yeah, right.
Or like, when you turn your head, it looks weird on the camera. Like, you correct things in things that you love and things that you think can be better. So the idea that critiquing means that you don't care about it, I look at that as the total opposite. So, Tory, let's go to our one, happily, one of our last bummer stories, but a story nonetheless that we got to talk about because some people on our front lines were viciously and thoughtlessly attacked. Tory, what can you tell us about what happened in Idaho recently?
So yeah, this really nice neighborhood in Coeur d'Alene, which is a lovely neighborhood, people were saying. There are some questionings if it's become somewhat of a white supremacist area. But again, when I read the report, they were saying it's a really nice area. There was a call for a Coeur d'Alene fire, and firefighters from all over responded. And unfortunately, 2 firefighters were actually ambushed and shot and killed in this fire. A 3rd one has been injured and they are in the hospital in stable condition. But the idea of ambushing a firefighter and shooting them dead is insane to me. Firefighters don't hurt anyone. They don't lock up anybody. They don't do anything, but they are the actual heroes. I always say firefighters and paramedics are the actual heroes. I know, of course, cops, but I just think those 2 don't pick up anybody. They're there just to help. So to shoot 2 dead and a 3rd in stable condition is outrageous. So Idaho is reeling right now. And their firefighters have lined the streets in support. And that is a family. That is a brotherhood. That is a strong support system.
Speaking of 9/11, we saw that brotherhood.
Absolutely. And when they come after their own, it was really bad. Julia says the perp killed himself. Apparently his uncle said he was fascinated by firemen and wanted to become one. Very strange. Perhaps he wasn't allowed in or something, or was angry. We don't know. But again, tragedy for our firefighters and their front linesmen.
Julia hit it right on the head. It's very strange, and we don't know.
Yeah.
With any tragedy that we have, any senseless tragedy, it's always everybody's got their weird, dumb reason.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, in 93, I blew up the federal building in Oklahoma City for some kind of weird white nationalist thing. They ended up basically detonating it over the freaking nursery. Excuse my language.
The daycare center.
Whatever weird reason that the kids at Columbine had, whatever weird reason some gunman in a mall had. This is what happens when everybody is armed, is we have to try and now make sense of nonsense. Right. Whatever your weird manifesto says, it was a race war, women, immigrants, taxes, the federal government, the aliens are coming. I didn't like I'm going to whatever.
Right.
I don't care. Two families are shattered.
Yeah.
The community is shattered because you cannot arm everybody.
Yeah.
Or this is what happens. And sadly, Tory, we're never going to have the gun debate again. That's so over that it's like we can't even say those words anymore. So I think no matter where you stand or stood on that debate, we've all come to accept this because we just know there's going to be random violence, whatever manifesto this person chooses to leave. Okay, whatever he said, that doesn't affect those two families that just lost two, not only breadwinners, but two people that were a part of their family and a part of their family.
They were heroes. Yeah. And also, I would just have to say for everybody else in Idaho in the firefighting community, how mentally scarred are you to show up to a fire now? Like, are they wanting police protection? To know that two of their brothers got ambushed and just shot when they were doing their best it messes with the mind. And that's what terrorism is. It terrorizes you and forever. All these firefighters are going to do that. Catherine says, we live in a rural area where everyone knows one another, but nowadays we aren't exempt. It's getting very scary. We're in Northeast New England, but we're on edge up here too now. Yeah. Every community is going to feel like any fire in the next year is going to feel very uncomfortable and very scary for firefighters. So our thought, I love a firefighter, not just because they do, but I just think they're like, there's no badness to them. They're all good. They only come to help you. So
on behalf of all the guys out here, we know, ladies. All right. We get it. We see you guys get all hot and bothered when that truck goes by. You have to immediately change the subject. You're like, do you want to go to Home Depot over here? Stop looking at that truck. You hear me? That's like three good-looking guys just drive by, and then it's just you standing there with your girl. You're like, you want to go get some Dairy Queen? No.
There is something. There was Sarah. Just want to add this. Says it was also the anniversary of the burning of a white supremacist compound 24 years ago. We don't know if that has anything to do with it. In that area, there is some talk that there's white supremacy in that area, but again, we don't.
It's more than talk. I think it's pretty well established. Yeah.
So,
Northern Idaho is a stronghold. Yeah.
Yeah. So
do you remember Amon Bundy and all those guys?
That's
where they were. Yeah. Remember they had that standoff at a sanctuary. He wouldn't do something.
That was so strange. And the cops were like, there's nothing we can do. I'm like, but you're the cops.
Well, there might be some truth to that. They got guns. We got guns. We really don't want that smoke. Yeah. Speaking of smoke, let's get to some good smoke. I don't know where that transition was going.
Hello.
But yes, let's get to some good news. And that is that the WNBA, who has arguably seen the biggest surge in popularity of a sport in my adult lifetime. I remember homeboys of mine calling me like, what are they doing with the WNBA? Just get rid of it. I remember it was kind of on the the ledge for a while because the NBA has been funding it, and it was not a moneymaker for a long time.
But they didn't give it the attention it deserved. Let's be honest. The more attention you give it, the more eyeballs you're getting, and that's what we're seeing. So I just wanted to make that correlation.
I totally agree. Let me ask you this though.
Okay.
Does somebody give you attention, or do you demand it?
So it's a little, that's a chicken and the egg.
Please answer. I asked you a question and started talking.
No, I think it's a chicken and the egg. I think that the NBA was clearly not giving enough attention. There is a bar in Midwest, and they were all out of money, and they decided to put all their life savings into and call it the sports bra. I don't know if you guys have heard of this. And all they did was play women's sports only on the TV. It is a multi-million-dollar business. People were lining up around the bend to get to it. And now it's franchising and coming to Denver as well. So as soon as more women were given more attention and more eyeballs started to pay attention, it was sort of the chicken and the egg. So I can't tell you, was it the Caitlin Clarks and all those people and the Angel Reeses and all that, or was it the other way around? But symbiotically, they realized there is money to be made here. And now it is skyrocketed. The games are just as exciting. When people make a basket, some boys don't go Kobe, they go Caitlin Clark. And it's like really cool to see that transition. And they're expanding the WNBA. And Al, what are the 3 cities that they're expanding to?
Well, there's Philadelphia, city of brotherly love. Shout out. The D, Detroit, one of my all-time favorite cities. Love the D. Got a lot of family there. Was just there doing shows. Love that city. And I can't remember the third one, Tory. If only it was important. Oh. Cleveland. That's right. We are getting our team back now. Only a true sports nerd would know this. And Lee, you said something really interesting. Yes, women's soccer. Really quickly before I lose my train of thought, what Lee is saying, I remember seeing Megan Rapinoe on a Subway commercial, and they didn't say her name.
And you just knew her.
And I was like, that's when you're famous. They don't go up and go, oh, Megan Rapinoe eats Subway, when they just go, when they hand you it and everybody knows that's Tom Brady. That's next level, Lee. And so we did see that with women's soccer. Great call. Cleveland actually had a WNBA franchise early on. They were called the Cleveland Rockers after the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Okay, that's better. Yeah. I thought you said the Knockers, and I was like, that's terrible.
Sponsored by the sports bra. So no, the Cleveland Rockers. And I used to, just to show you like what a diehard fan and why I love my Uncle Ben for just being a true sports fan. He's been going, it's cool to go to Cubs games. You get a hot chicks like Tory sitting in the front row with the pink Cubs hat, and everybody's there having a good time. My Uncle Ben used to go to Cavs games when they had lost 25 games in a row. It is negative 5,000 degrees. He had probably a walker or at least a cane, and he got on the public transportation and went down to watch that team because he was a fan. Wow. And he used to take me to WNBA games in Cleveland. So I used to go to those games all the time. Wow. So I'm excited to see them back, but they're coming back with interest. Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. And honestly, when I got the ride back Tory in the police van from Chicago, we talked WNBA.
Oh, did you?
And when I talked to my boy John Vargas, the Cuban Mexican American, one of my best friends, we were talking WNBA all day. Not just let's be progressive. It's what regular folks are talking about on the phone, and that's when you made it as a league.
Sorry to interrupt you, but Al, it's not even regular folks. It's like you're such a hardcore sports fan. And for you to be like interested, know the stats, understand it, like, and welcome it it's about time. It really is about time. So we're really excited. What team are you really excited for? Write it in hi, Sarah, write it in the chat. What's your favorite team? Caitlin Clark is on what team?
Indiana, the Fever.
Okay.
And and she went to Purdue. So that's where she went to college, right? No, she went to Purdue. So I mean, Caitlin Clark, I mean, it's an easy matchup, to say Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese. But for as much as people get into the whole race thing, it's a black girl shoving a white girl, it's a white girl using her privilege. you know what? Real basketball fans like me, we just talk about the game.
That's so cool.
I
That's
love it.
so
And
cool.
they're like, oh, she pushed her. I'm like, yeah, they're crazy competitive.
Right. They like
They're-
got into it, and I'm like, good.
Yes.
Yes, I saw that.
Thank you, Iowa, not Purdue. Thank you. I knew it was a black and white.
Al knows nothing.
Oh, is that one of our new stingers?
Al knows nothing.
But yeah, it's to your point, before we close out on this, for anybody that goes with the race thing, like it's a black girl pushing a white girl, there's misogyny in that. You're saying that Caitlin Clark can't defend herself, that Angel Reese needs you to come to her aid because they're a woman. Those are level 10 psychotic competitors. They would be doing this in an 8th grade basketball parking lot with nobody watching because they are wired like that. So
Totally.
enjoy the game and don't get sucked into the black, white. Just be like, these are two great basketball players. And I like the pushing and shoving. I love to know you care.
Me too. You know, I was a point guard, Al.
Give me the name of one play that you used to run at point guard.
Okay, the X. You want to know the X? I would. Okay, we all lined up in a single file line, and when I threw in the ball, people made an X, and that's what it was.
And where would you guys go from there?
From to the basket.
Okay. It would, and were defenses dumbfounded? They were like, they're in a line. Like, forfeit the game.
This? An X? I'm out. I can't.
I will I'm going to ask our colleagues this. We're going to start a donation fund. And I feel like for every $100 we raise, Tory needs to get us footage of her playing basketball. I would literally give a kidney. I don't drink anymore, so I got 2. I promise I would pay more than you think if your dad could get a hold of one of those.
What?
That's
what?
All. And then turned into you got served. Okay. So Tory, your movements are making me hot.
Okay. Let's talk about
angry, not sexual. Angry.
Good,
but not as hot as the passengers on board a flight leaving Norway, I believe.
Norway.
And first of all, I never think about Norway being hot.
No, I don't either.
Women. Okay.
Their women and men are gorgeous.
Yes, it's called eugenics.
I mean, they're just tall and healthy and hardy people.
Yeah. Well, what they didn't have, they had the height, they had the health, they didn't have the AC.
They didn't have AC.
Us Americans might not be as tall, but we got a little AC up there. Tory, plane got up to 130 degrees, and luckily the staff was there to help them. The staff told them to meditate. Tory, you're already dressed like you're about to fight your boyfriend's ex-girlfriend at the movies.
What do you say, Sheila? What'd you say about him? What? That's my man. Okay, so I have something to say. I was on a plane once and there was no AC and we were stuck on the runway. And it was like 15 minutes, 20 minutes, almost an hour. And I was doing this and we were all doing this and the flight attendants. And I was like starting to get a panic. Do you know what I mean? I'm in clothes and then it's getting hotter and hotter. And I couldn't keep it cool. And I stood up and I said, excuse me, when will this be fixed? And I don't care if I look like a bee. I don't care. I was like, this isn't what I get paid hundreds of dollars. Like, this is not inhabitable. I can't stay here much longer. And there was a baby and the baby was all like red and flushed. And so I can't imagine reaching 100 degrees, then 110. Folks, it went up to 130 degrees and they were told to meditate to relax. I would have gone insane. And I study Buddhism. I would have lost it. I would have lost it, Al.
Okay, here's my serious question with that dumb question that they were throwing at. Do you think your meditation would have worked?
No. Do you? Would you? Have you? Would you?
No, but isn't that when you're supposed to use it, buddy? Is in an extreme situation? How come people only meditate on the beaches of Mexico? Oh, I'm glad you could calm down here.
You have to be the strongest meditator to be able to sit in that type of heat and feel your breath and calm down, I just would have been panicked. I would have gotten hotter from the fear. I would have been too hot. I would have been too hot.
Now, if there was like a woman sitting next to me, like it's hot on the plane, and then she's sitting next to me, do you think that would have been really dangerous for her because I'm so hot? It would have just been too much.
Michael Dean, do you have an answer to Al being too hot for the hot plane? No, there is a question. What is the crew supposed to say? Acknowledge that this is not right. Like, don't just say meditate. Like, explain this is completely unacceptable. You will be getting I don't know what they can say, but there's lawsuits going to come out of this. That's emotional distress. I mean,
I think us as the common folks could say, oh, we're going to sue them. I just watched that poop cruise on Netflix.
Yeah, it's hard to sue.
That was my old boat, the Carnival Triumph. I've been on that boat a million times. My first question is what comic was working. I actually know the comic working. Hopefully, maybe we could interview him. It's my boy Billy Russell. Yeah, but at the end, I don't want to give it away. I'm not ruining it. The passengers only got $500 from Carnival. They were on a floating toxic cesspool for a week and a half.
Yeah.
So what are you going to get from like a hot plane, Tory? They're not going to give you anything.
Well, here's the thing. Like, I always feel this, that I don't know if you guys feel in the chat, that as a flyer, I have very few rights. Like, I get very upset that like the airlines can just like keep you on the runway for however long you want. You know what I mean? So At that point, you know what I would have done? I would have called the press.
That's a good point. Okay.
I would have called the press. So like one time a plane was stuck on the runway for like 8 hours and it was before the rule. And they got so upset and so angry. They weren't letting them have water. They weren't letting them have a bathroom break. And some lawyer on that plane knew that he wouldn't be able to successfully sue. So he called the New York Times and the Washington Post, and they got their asses on there and were filming the plane. And that's what got the flight moved. The FAA changed the rules. The flyers' rights, Bill of Rights came out. But some Department of Transportation head has to take control of this, because otherwise I feel like it's insane. Julia says, I was on a plane in El Salvador. It was stuck on the tarmac for an hour. The crew ended up handing out some frozen juice boxes. Like, and that helped. Anything like that, even that, like, just give me like a towel, maybe like a cold towel, but like just to say meditate is so passive aggressive. Oh, I would have been.
And before we wrap this up, Shelly says, I don't understand why airlines force their passengers to stay on a plane that they know is going nowhere. Yeah. Shelly, I will tell you why, as somebody that has flown way too much for any 3 people in his life. They want you on the plane. They know ahead of time that because of the weather or backups at the airport that you're going to, you are not taking off. But once they get everybody on board and pull the jetway back, that counts as an on-time departure. So that is why when they go, United Airlines, 98% on-time departure. That's why your rear end is sitting on the tarmac. What do you think? It's a shock?
I thought it was a security issue. Like you couldn't get them out and back again.
No, the only time that they'll let you off a plane is usually late at night when they're like, we're going to boot you off and you'll take it to 6 a.m. the next morning. But they'll keep you on that tarmac. And the reason you can't get off is a lot of times there's now a plane at the gate that you just got on.
Right. You're stuck.
Yes. So Shelly said, oh, did she say what I said is BS or what they're doing is BS?
Shelly, let us know if you believe Al or you are agreeing with Al.
I am quite sure that is true, but that's why they, there's got to be some metric in which they've measured on-time departures, because that's how the airlines rank themselves against each other. So
okay, suggestion then. Anyone running for president says in their campaign speech, I will make travel better. You automatically have my vote by so much. Travel is a nightmare. The flight, like the airline industry is a nightmare. So if you are running for candidacy, say that you will change the junk fees, you'll fix the tarmac, like make that a part of your campaign stump speech.
Right. Okay? Well, I think the problem with all these things, when I think all of us and the colleagues go, why don't the politicians do this? Why don't they tell the corporations we don't want junk fees? Because who do you think is funding their campaigns?
Oh, totally. Them. United, of course. Yeah. Totally.
For all of us giving our $20 saying, hey, Shelly is running for president. Oh, let's all give her $10. Who is Shelly or Sarah or Lee going to listen to? Me or you that gave them $10? Or are they going to listen to the corporation that gave them $10 million? Who's going to have your ear? And I think that's why we as the consumer get the worst of everything is we need to figure out a way to consolidate so we have a voice just like a corporation or a super PAC, like the voice of normal people.
I agree. We have to join together. Yanni said it's the nickel and diming and then all of the problems and cancellations. I totally agree. I've already spent like $300 and $400 to get on this crappy flight with the warm Coke. I get so frustrated with airline. Anyway, if I'm Pete Buttigieg and I'm running again, I say I've worked as Department of Transportation and I know it inside and out. I will make travel better. I think that could get a lot of votes.
Okay, well, that will get a lot of votes. What I wanted to talk to you quickly about, Tory, is it has to do with a little karate, a little Karate Kid. That's right. This happened on the set of Karate Kid. There was some biting. So, Tory, do you know about what happened with this biting incident that weirdly involved the actual bad guy from the first Karate Kid?
Yes. So the bad guy who has been on the original Karate Kid was, I think, a convention. I'm not sure it was on set or was it a convention. Michael Dean, please let us know. But his co-star was there. And at some point, he took her arm and he bit it. He bit her. And she has spoken out, Alicia, and she said, sorry, yes, it was at the Summer Con event at the Washington State Fairgrounds. Thank you, Michael Dean. So it was at this convention, and he just assaulted her. And there was a question if Alicia would have pressed charges. She is not going to press charges, but says, it's, quote, it's never fun to be assaulted at work, which she was at. Would love to know what you think, because, Al, I think you and I have a similar issue here. We think that
when we were discussing these stories ahead of time, you said something. I was like, I think sometimes the simplest answer is the correct one. Tory, what did you, when we first started throwing around this story before the show, what did you say?
I said, I think he's a biter.
I think you're right. I think sometimes that's it. You and I have been goofing around in horse playing every day for 8 years. There's never been a biting incident or there's never been like, we were joking around and I bit Tory until I drew blood.
Like, it is so weird. Now, it could be a biting thing, or chat. Could it be like a testosterone because he's getting built for the show and there's some aggression? Like, again, we are totally speculating, but like a roid rage, or is he just into biting?
I think my man is just into biting. And I think that there is only so much time where you can think about something before you act on it. And this guy, I'm sure it is probably tied to some kind of, yes, Yanni, just Holyfield her. You have to understand, if this is anybody that has, Tory, you know, as somebody that's had dogs, as somebody that's taught middle school, biting is, as somebody that, especially that was pre-med, biting is such a big issue because your skin is your number one barrier against any kind of disease. When you bite somebody, the reason you have to go get all those shots, if a bat gets you, it's because you've penetrated and gone straight to the bloodstream, and your mouth is disgusting. Your mouth has lots of bad things in there. And that's why, like, if a kid is a biter at school, they'll pull him out of preschool. You cannot have that.
Yeah.
You cannot have that. No. And so him joking around about biting, even, first of all, it's not funny and it's weird. And I think he couldn't hold it anymore. And he bit her in the off chance that she'd be like, oh, what took you so long? But instead she was like, HR, is it this hallway or... Are you like, out of your mind?
I don't know. Shelly says he could have a biting thing, which could be sexual, if you know what I'm saying. I also thought that too, Shelly. I'm just being super honest with you right now. And I wonder if like she will be in scenes with him, because this is not okay. I mean, that's assault. You can sue for that. I mean, that's assault. That's assault.
You can sue for that. You know what you can also do?
Bite back.
No, well, kind of with your agent, a little quick impromptu contract renegotiation.
Very smart. Very smart.
To hit the news, or do we want to put another zero on the end of my paycheck? Thanks.
Someone just got bit by the acting bug.
There, boo.
Sorry. No, that's
All right,
really
that was,
bad. Sarah says an orthodontic assistant. I got bit at work all the time, but if a coworker did it, I'd be throwing hands.
absolutely. A bite is a very serious. Like you
Yeah.
think about what you're allowed to do in the UFC. You can knee somebody in the face.
Can you
You
not
can
bite?
kick them in the face. You cannot bite.
Oh, is that right?
You can do whatever you want. You can drop an elbow in their rib. They're like, good for you. No biting. Biting
No
is like a
biting.
very serious,
Oh,
it's a
wow.
big
Okay.
problem. And so like that's a problem. Okay, so Tori, we were running short on time. Where does this show go? I start
'Cause we're having
talking to
fun.
my friends, and then it's like weird. I love it, but I hate it. Okay, so let's get to burning questions. And Michael Dean laid out our burning question of the day. I want to know, Tori, what is the worst customer experience you've ever had? Now, do you need time to think? Because I have one while you think.
No, I was a part of the Southwest Christmas fiasco.
Okay, so catch us all back really quick. Like,
So,
what did
we were there with the dogs. We waited 8 hours at the airport. All of Southwest IT computers went down. I think this was 2022, maybe 2023. And we missed Christmas. We were not able to go to see my in-laws at the time. And then to make matters worse, they said, come pick up your bag later. 85 days later is when we got our luggage.
how is there not a documentary called 85 Days?
I know. We had to go, Brooks had to go to the airport and sit in line for hours every day and wait. And then it wouldn't show up. And then it wouldn't show up. And then finally, we got our stuff. And we got some money back, but like not enough compensation. So I have actually not flown Southwest in a while because I'm like, see, I'll stick it to the man. They don't care. They don't care. But it was they ruined Christmas. They ruined birthdays. They ruined people who are going to see people's loved one die. It was really, really awful for a lot of people that Christmas. So that was by far my worst customer service.
That is rough. Mine, I think I may have discussed this before, but anytime I get a chance to let people know, I don't even know if it's still a company anymore. Birchbox, do you remember them?
Oh yeah. Wait, you had Birchbox? Is that where they sent you like little stuff?
Yes.
Yeah.
I believe it's called knockoff crap from companies that have gone defunct. Is another word for that? Oh, your lotion company went belly up? We'll take those at pennies on the dollar. Oh, your makeup brush company, there was a fire in the warehouse and you closed? We'll take those half singed. That's where they get, that's why it's random. They're like, we hand select for you. Oh, do you? You hand select for me? Are you kidding me? What is this, Rodeo Drive? You know, you don't hand select anything. We drove by this business that had a going out of business in 24 hours and stole all their stuff. So Tron, let me tell you about mine.
Liked it. Tron, I thought it was good stuff too, Tron.
Let me tell you, Tron, and I definitely was jaded. So Tron, I got my daughter Birchbox. This is got to be going back. This is during the pandemic. That's how long ago this was. And got her Birchbox, and you know, didn't think anything of it. It was like what, $19 a month or something, 15, maybe even less, maybe like 9, probably 9, something like that. And you know, a couple of years go by, and I don't know where, you know, I think we were up at Sephora where my daughter handed me my credit card back from Cherry Creek Mall. It was smoking. The credit card was still on fire from what had happened inside that mall.
Will do that. Sephora is bad.
Oh my goodness. So out of nowhere, I'm like, in my head, I wasn't like, don't I get you makeup? I was just like, oh, do you like that Birchbox that I got you? And she goes, what? And I was like, the Birchbox, I got it for you like years ago. And she goes, I've never gotten anything. And so I'm like, excuse me? So I call up Birchbox, and you know, like, right. And for as annoying as all of our colleagues know, and we all complain when we get, you know, AI or something, it's like, where may I direct your call? You're like, I'm going to talk to a person. But at least when you call a company, you're like, they got enough money to have AI. They have enough money to have different departments. The phone rings, they must have some kind of routing system where it just goes to somebody's house. I am not joking. And I'm not doing a stereotypical voice. The voice came on like this. It was just like, hello. Like that. Not welcome to Birchbox. It's hello. And I was like, hello? Hello? And I'm like, yes, last name Jackson, first name Albert. I ordered Birchbox for my daughter, and she said she's never received it. And she goes, hold on. She looked it up and she goes, is it going to 123 Mulberry Lane in Philadelphia? And I was like, I don't know anybody in Philadelphia. And she goes, well, that's where it's been going. And I go, well,
some other chicken?
Somebody hijacked my account and just changed the address. You don't mistype a Philadelphia address for my daughters. And so I go, well, this has been going on for 2 years. What's the refund policy? And she goes, we can refund up to 3 months. I'm like, but it's been 2 years. And she goes, yeah, so 3 months. Oh, and then she's like, gave the price like real, shitty. She just goes, do you want your $27.99 or not? And I was like, I guess not. And that was it. No refund, no apology,
no mercy.
Nothing. I mean, she handled it just like, then why are you calling? And I was like, I'm sorry.
Like,
it was so bad. I was like, I almost wanted to applaud. Like, I called with a legitimate problem. You shamed me, then accused me of not caring about my daughter, and then basically hung the phone up. Chef's kiss.
That is so bad. That is terrible customer service.
But if you had a good experience, God bless you.
No, but Julia says about Blue Apron that it is very hard to get. I switched from Blue Apron. I was a hardcore. Like when Blue Apron first came out, I was like their number one. And then I switched to HelloFresh because I had that issue with Blue Apron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's where people like kind of make money is by not hiring like a lot of staff. So it's just, I heard Airbnb is the same thing. Like for as big as a company, there's like 2 dudes, know, texting back with you. So yeah.
That is scamming. You should definitely make sure that Birchbox gets your money back. That's ridiculous.
I think that ship has sailed. But Tory, you know what ship has not sailed is Tory's fact of the day. Do you have one?
I sure do.
All right, I can't wait. Let's do it.
So as someone just said, who was it who just said that? Unique Gemini. She gave a great fact. Hey gang, Purple Rain came out 40 years ago today.
Shut up, Unique Gemini. Awesome. Oh my goodness.
Cool. But you want to know what else
Has that you been that long?
You could listen to it. In 1979, on this day, Sony introduced the Walkman. So I wanted to know if anyone in the chat still has their Walkman. Was it only tapes Walkman? Because discs.
Yes.
A Discman was for, okay. So I had a Walkman with the cool, right?
Absolutely. The Walkman. And then, well, there were different iterations. There were the initial ones. First of all, if anybody is 48 like myself, the first ones that came out were just all metal. Like they were like, hot. You could beat a man to death with one of those. It was like a tiny VCR. And then they had the ones, do you remember, Tory? They were kind of like plasticky and yellow.
Yeah, and like yellowy.
And then you snap the gray part over the top. It was almost like a lunchbox.
Like a holder. Yeah, like this. Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, that was like a big deal. And just like, I did kind of like the idea of having a Walkman because for the most part, unless you had a backpack, you had to decide what artist you were going to listen to that day. There was no choice. You were like, it's going to be a Phil Collins day. Shut up. That's all I got.
I got Janet Jackson. That's all I have forever.
Yes.
Now, there was also a lot of fun, groovy colors, like the bright yellow, the pink one. But then the Discman came. And what was so hard about the Discman is that unless you got like a good one, it would just skip as you walked. What a terrible idea.
I just don't think they thought about it that far. I think when they tested it in a lab at Sony, flat on a table that was bolted into the ground. And
when you're walking.
Right. And so like then before they really had CD players for cars, they would have the ones that advertised anti-skipping.
Right.
And those were like very expensive.
Very.
But like to be able to drive and like listen to a CD. And then after that, we saw the CDs and the car radios where the face came off. Do you remember? Where you could take those off because of the car. And that was like that was a flex too. Like if you had one of those, it'd be like, oh, okay, like this dude's got some money.
Or if you had the 6 CD changer. Sarah said she carried around a boombox. Al, were you ever?
I was never a boombox. You know
I
what?
wasn't.
What was it, Sarah? What was necessary to be a boombox carrier is you had to be in a place in the country where people walked places.
Mm-hmm.
If you live in New York or Philly or Boston, dense cities where you can plausibly walk to the train or walk to work,
like
yeah,
DC
definitely. But in Ohio, it's like, oh, I'm gonna walk to the grocery store. It is 2.7 miles of hot country asphalt walking. You
You're
are
like,
you would just see a boombox a mile from my house, then my shirt another quarter mile, just like me getting naked as I'm burning up. So yeah,
I'm like, Al, I'm coming for you.
yeah,
Oh my
just
God,
follow
that's
the trail.
crazy.
So
Also, were you anyone who had to make the mix CD that we're all talking about? Did you guys ever have to do it on the radio? I remember being in the shower and like Sex and Candy came on and I like bolted out on the radio and hit the thing. So like you recorded it from the radio.
that was a big deal. You had to prep ahead of time, and like when people would have mixtapes, or even just like when they would record things on VHS for you, you would always catch a little snippet of what they're really into, because it would be like The Great Outdoors with John Candy, and then it would squiggle, and then Donahue, and then squiggle, and then some weird fishing thing Dad was watching, and then squiggle, and then it would be another 48 hours with Eddie Murphy. It's like, oh, okay, you have an older person in your house.
Not only that, my favorite memory of me and my grandmother and my sister, we were all sitting together out there and it was on tape. And my grandmother goes, Tory, do you love grandma? And I look over and then all of a sudden it squiggles. And my mom recorded it over with Pierce Brosnan's Mamma Mia 2 singing. So mad.
Priorities.
So mad. I'm like, you did the worst. She didn't mean to, but yeah, that was terrible. Sarah said she did live in Cleveland while holding the boombox, and she walked 7 miles. So you were more in shape than us, than I.
Yes. Yes, and probably had a nicer, lighter boombox. But yes, that was a big deal. So Tori, did we get to your fun fact?
Yes, the Sony Walkman came out in 79.
Oh, that was it. Today. That's how we started talking about all this. I'm good at my job. That was a good one. First of all, even though I made fun, I like the big earrings. I like the phone. I like the pone, yes. And I like your whole fit. Yes. This is like, listen, colleagues, when we love Tori's fit, she responds to positive affirmations.
I'm like a dog.
This is a good look for you, even though like the letters behind you just keep telling us who you really are, just as me. But it's like so yes.
It's better than ho. I don't want to do ho.
Yeah, we gotta fix. Do you have the other letters or?
Yeah, I just have home.
Okay. Are you good at Scrabble, by the way?
I'm amazing.
Do I need to hand you a beating like I did my girlfriend?
That sounds bad. And also I have a really big Scrabble box that rotates like a fancy one. So it's really important to me.
Okay. I will just say this, that and I have the videos. My girlfriend had never lost in Scrabble, and I handed her 3 straight losses. And while I was doing it, I made Netflix trailers about the beating that was happening, because I can edit with one thumb without looking, because I'm a nerd. I will post those. I'll have those ready for the next show. So
what was a big word that you got? Do you remember one?
Yes, I was losing, and I got a triple word score that was 72 points. I had like, amazing. I took like something that was just a regular word and I put X on it.
The X is great. Add a Z, yes. You're good. A J.
It was a big. Oh, and
Unique Gemini.
Gemini says Unique Gemini. I always want to say Unlikely Gemini. Unique Gemini said she saw our TV commercial. So we should do a little story about how that happened one of these days.
That's absolutely true. That was a fun day. That was fun. And I do play Words with Friends. Maybe we could all become friends
on Words with Friends. How would that happen, Tori?
Oh, that's so. Chi always does wonders for me. QI, great word. Great word.
Yeah, but with QI, then you can't do anything with that part of the board anymore, because the Q.
Yeah, but you know what? Seal it up and get your Q. I think that's
okay.
Cool.
This is going to be so nerdy. We're going to shut the internet down. So, Tori, to Michael Dean, who did a fantastic job.
Fantastic job.
To the colleagues that joined us, you guys know where to find us. Tell a friend, hell, tell two. Find us every day. Find us Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. You know, Tuesdays and Fridays, daytime talk after dark. And so you get a whole week of us, like God intended. It's supposed to be like that. That's right.
I'm taking a picture. She says, Shelly says, your eyebrows are really nice. I appreciate that because I spend a lot of time on my eyebrows. And it's just, I just want to say I really appreciated that comment.
All right. Do you want to go through each individual?
Strand?
I do like your eyebrows.
Okay, it's just this one's thinner and she's pointing down.
We don't have time to do this.
Okay.
Okay. Guys, we love you. See you on Wednesday, but check us out tomorrow. Daytime Talk After Dark. Love you.
That's right.
We out.